Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivadasi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Dr. Madan Kuki, for leading us in the chanting so nicely. I welcome everyone else who joined us while we were chanting. Thank you for joining. So first we did chanting of one round, and then now we'll be doing Kirtan. Then we will have discussion on Bhagavad Gita, and then we will end with Arati.
Siddha Prabhu can explain short what is the significance of the chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. In the meantime, you can be ready.
Hare Krishna. The significance of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra?
Yes.
So first of all, before we chanted Hare Krishna mantra, we chanted another mantra. It was Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. I would like to speak about them. So Krishna, who is one, he expands himself into five. Not just like a balloon, like which you can burst, but he's like a transcendental rubbery, which you can keep expanding and expanding and still remains delicious. And he comes in five different forms as Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas. So five personalities. So Krishna comes in five personalities. Why? Because he wants to know what it means to be his own devotee. So first of all comes Chaitanya, where Krishna is trying to understand the beauty of love. Then comes Bhakta Sarupakam, where Krishna is trying to understand the essence of devotion, Bhakta Sarupakam. Then he comes as Advaita, which is Bhakta Avatar, but it means to share bhakti with others. He wants to experience that. And he comes as Bhakta Shaktikam, that what is the ecstasy of, or what is the energy of Bhakti Shakti? That's Gadadhar Pandit. And finally, Srivas. So we chant these names because these five personalities comprise the compassionate nature of Krishna. When we chant Hare Krishna, the result should be that as soon as we chant Hare Krishna, we should be in ecstasy, rolling on the ground. But did anybody roll on the ground today while chanting? No. Why not? Is the holy name not working? Is it only a statement of speech? Is it only poetic? No. Why didn't we roll on the ground? Because of offenses, inattention, not understanding Krishna to be same as his holy name. So we make a lot of offenses. So on one hand, we're trying to, empty our boat out with water, which has a hole. On the other hand, we are pouring buckets and buckets of water in the same boat. So the boat is not floating. To save us from this came Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who, along with his associates, this whole Panchatattva, and by praying to them, by asking their blessings, we get riddance, we get free from offenses. So this Panchatattva mantra is a must to be chanted before chanting Hare Krishna for making progress on chanting Hare Krishna. Because by their mercy, we may hope to chant offenselessly. Any comments anybody has? Dr. Madan, Sarvatarak Prabhu, Brinda?
Explained nicely that as Sri Krishna is appeared in 5 different forms to make the society know that his presence among the general masses, so that we can learn from them. They are our teachers or guru, we can say, and follow their paths.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Parsatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You can come little bit this side. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Radha Kanta ki jai. Sri Sri Gaurnitai ki jai. Sri Sri Hare Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Paramanande Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the wonderful Kirtan. So now we will move to the most awaited part of the program, which is lecture by His Grace Siddha Hari Prabhu. Siddha Hari Prabhu has a master's degree from the University of Michigan in Information Science and has contributed to conferences at elite universities such as MIT, IIT Hyderabad, and the University of Paris. He has studied Sanskrit from an early age, which allows him to read the Puranas in the original text. That, combined with Sanskrit natural language processing tools, enabled him to team up with Madhavendra Puri Das Prabhu to discover that the Puranas anticipate sophisticated scientific data in a wide range of fields. His work has been featured in Times of India, DD News, and Indic India. Currently, he travels widely to numerous universities, distributing Srila Prabhupada's books and fanning the innate spiritual spark to whoever he meets. So we're very fortunate to have Prabhuji with us today. We'd like to welcome him by chanting Hare Krishna once. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Also, I offer Radha Radha Kanta's garland from New Orleans. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Wow. So are you mailing that to me, or just we only get to see you on Zoom?
It's transcendental, so it goes everywhere.
Can we put Sarvatarak Prabhu on the spotlight because we cannot see the garland?
This garland for Siddha Prabhuji from Radha Radha Kanta.
Now we can see. Thank you, Prabhu. So thank you, dear devotees, for giving me the opportunity. I would like to begin first by saying Mangalacharan prayers. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Padaka Swami Namne Nama Acharya Padaya Nita Kripa Padayane Kor Katha Tamadyan Nagalagam Tarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravan Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Vancha Khapatripasya Kripasandu Vevcha Patina Pavana Vaishnava Nama. So thank you, dear devotees, for the opportunity to speak and to share something with you devotees here in this Krishna House Sangha online. First few words of appreciation. Recently, 2 weeks ago, I was in New Orleans and I called on Sarvatarak Prabhu. And out of blue, I told him that I would be coming to Baton Rouge. And, he being an epitome of Vaishnav Sadachar and Vaishnav hospitality, he very kindly accepted me and then 3 other devotees and fed us up to the neck along with the help of his beautiful wife, Mother Madhavi Shakti Devidasi. And is it right? Madhavi Shakti Devidasi, is that correct? Yes. Okay. Yeah, so they fed us to the neck, very nice prasadam, and then also sang us beautiful Kirtan. So as a result of that, Krishna has blessed them with 2 very nice Vaishnavis. So this is showing how the process is working, and Krishna is very happy with their family. So I highly recommend, if you're in Baton Rouge, to stop by his house and meet him, and then you can see what it means to be a Vaishnav in person. Before I begin, so there are 2 topics which I can speak about. Sarvatarak Prabhu has shared with me that many of the people who join these classes or this group discussions are scholars, are very well learned. And I can tell that because as I can see behind Dr. Madan Kundu, I can see a huge library. And then behind, who else is here? Let's see. I have to do a different view to see everybody here. Okay, let's see. In fact, behind Dr. Sudhir Trivedi, there's a library. Behind Dr. Baba Sarkar. So there's a library. So we are indeed here in the presence of a lot of scholars. Is that correct?
We are not scholar, we are student.
That's the
That's the
humility.
way.
That's the humility.
We are learning.
Yeah,
We are learning, try
we are
to climb the
also-
first step.
We are also Dr. Ravidanji, who saw Prabhupada, and he was impressed to read the Science of Self-Realization, and he has started doing the Vaishnava Sadachar, like following the rules regulation. And all of them are very intellectual. Also, I see Dr. Vijay Shah, who was a vice chancellor of Southern University, and many of other Dr. Sudhir Trivedi, Dr. Like all of them are, like they're practicing Krishna consciousness, and they are so.
Nice. So I wanted. So I have two choices or topics. One topic which I can speak about is how can we speak about Krishna, or the preparation needed to be done before you can speak about Krishna, because everybody here is a scholar. Probably you want to speak about Krishna to others. So how can we speak? Or the preparation needed to do before speaking. That's one topic. It's more like a theology topic, and also it's a topic meant for people who would like to become Krishna conscious preachers. That what kind of mood we should have. That's one topic. Another topic I can discuss is science and Bhagavatam. That how is modern science catching up with the Puranic theology or the Puranic cosmology? So these are two topics.
I like the last.
Let's take a vote. So Dr. Madan is saying the last one. What about Dr. Baba Sarkar? What do you think? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Either on is fine with me.
Well, you have to choose one. You can't have both. You only have half an hour. Pick one. Second one. Dr. Meera is saying, Madam Meera is saying second one. Okay. Second one. Dr. Baba Sarkar, you have a choice? No.
Okay, number one.
Number one. Okay. Dr. Kailash, not Dr. Prabhu Kailash Jai Singhani. Is he awake? Oh, I think so. Okay, here you go. We are muted, Prabhuji. We can't hear you.
What's the first one?
The first one is how to prepare ourselves to speak about Krishna.
Okay. If you have less time, please go to second one.
Second time. Okay, we have less time. I want to ask everybody because it's supposed to be a discussion and I want to involve everybody. I can speak about something, but I also want to know what people want. So sorry, I'm taking this time, but it's important. Let's see. So Dr. Sarvadarak Prabhu, what would you choose? Second or first?
The second one is fine.
Second is better, okay.
We have here Kamal Mukha Krishnadas Prabhu, who was a temple president and serving in Houston temple, taking major role for preaching. So we can hear from Kamal Mukha Prabhu.
Okay.
I am driving. I'm sorry, I'm driving. Sorry. I can only listen. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, but which one do you want to choose? Do you want to hear about how can we speak about Krishna and prepare ourselves for that, or how Puranas and science? You want to choose the second topic?
I want to hear both.
So that will be the next time, Prabhu. When you come next time, then you can
Next time.
pick the other one.
Okay, so it looks like the majority of weight is going towards Puranas and science. So we'll speak about that. For those of you who have already heard the presentation before, I hope you will forgive me for being repetitive. But it's a topic of always fun and always excitement for me because it's showing the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam, as you understand, is a book which came around. Let's see. Can you allow me to share screen? So Srimad Bhagavatam is a book which is understood to be, written down by us as Vaishnavas eternally. It's a book it's the book which has always been in existence. And it has stories and pastimes of people like Brahma who have been living for billions of years. So when we come across such information in the Puranas, naturally, a rational mind may wonder, how can somebody live for billions of years? Isn't it? So if somebody were to ask you, how would you explain? And I am being a student of science and studying at top universities in USA. This is something, a question which always came to bug me as irrationally, that how can I understand this? So this led me to discover some interesting, this led me to dig deep into Bhagavatam and to understand how does Bhagavatam paradigm fits with the modern scientific paradigm. And in that discovery, in that search, I also found out actually a lot of Puranic statements, a lot of Puranic paradigms are actually now being also replicated or found by modern science. So the topic of my today's presentation is modern science catches up with the Puranas. Okay, and let me see if I can share a screen. I will share my screen. Okay, I can share my screen now. So give me a second. Pull up the slides. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Okay. Okay, I can share my screen now. Okay. So is everybody able to see the screen? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if you go by the opinion, if I were to ask you, how old is our solar system? How would you answer that? Now there are two ways to answer this. One is, sorry, I'm trying to fix the view here. Okay, can you see the screen now? The slideshow?
Yes.
Okay. Did the screen change?
Yes, the screen changing.
Okay, good. Okay. So if I were to ask you, how old is our solar system? How would we understand? How would you answer? Now, there are two ways to answer it. One way is to answer it based on the Puranas, and other ways to answer it based on the modern science, what we hear in the classes. Now, according to the Puranas, currently we are in the 7th Manvantara, in the 28th Chaturyuga. For any of you who have been part to a Hindu ritual, they always say this whole big Mangalacharana mantra before they do any yagna or any havan. And they say that we are doing this yagna on this tithi, in this year, in this samvat, in this Chaturyuga, Ashta Vimshati Chaturyuge, Sapta Manvantare, Vivasvata Manvantare. So we are in this, at this date. Now, what does this date mean? So, according to Puranic cosmology, there are these time units by which long periods of times are measured. The smallest of them is a yuga. And there's no yuga, but there's Kali Yuga, then there's Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Satya Yuga. So Kali, Dwapar, Treta, and Satya Yuga. They four together make what? One Chaturyuga. 71 of Chaturyugas make a Manvantara. And that gets us, the basics of Puranic dating or Puranic chronology. So if we are in the 7th Manvantara, in the 28th Chaturyuga, and if we know that a Manvantara is equal to 308 million years, and a Chaturyuga is equal to 8.64 million years, we get this number. Okay. And when we go through the commentaries of our acharyas and apply that, what we find, let's skip all that, this is a lot of details. So what we find that the Brahma, Brahma is currently awake. Is a day of Brahma. A day of Brahma is known as a kalpa. So in a day of Brahma, in a kalpa, there are 14 manvantras. So at the end of Brahma's night, the solar system is created, and at the end of Brahma's day, the solar system is destroyed. So if I tell you that currently we are in the 7th manvantra, in the 28th Chaturyuga, then we have to just use these numbers in the left table, and we can get exactly when did solar system originate, isn't it? So if a manvantra is 613 million years long, and a Chaturyuga is 8.64 million years long, then what is the answer? The answer is 4.563 billion solar years. Now you would say, hey, this is pretty simple. And why didn't nobody talk about this before? Well, a couple of reasons. One, prior to our looking into this data, practically nobody was interested in comparing science with the Puranas. And if they didn't do a thorough analysis. So in our analysis, we did a very thorough analysis of Puranic time units, and we found out these exact numbers from the Puranas. So the number comes out to be 4.563 billion solar years. And when we compare it with the modern scientific understanding, the sun actually was born, according to modern science, 4.567 billion years ago. So the difference is only 0.08%. So the time since Brahma started the solar system, according to the Puranas, is practically the same time as what the modern science says. Now, what took modern science, big satellites, lot of collaborations, research work, was plainly stated always in the Puranas. But one data is not enough, we always want more, isn't it? We grew up watching this Pepsi ad. So let's look at some more data points from the Puranas. Now, who knows about this pastime, Matsyavatar? What happened in Matsyavatar? Anybody? What is the Matsyavatar pastime? What happened there? Who would like to volunteer? Vrinda, I see somebody next to you there. Looks like a student. What's his name? I can't hear.
This is Jason.
Jason, have you heard of the big flood?
Oh, is
the
this
great flood?
Is this like the Christian ark with Noah? Like the
Yeah. So it's equivalent story from the Puranas. So like you hear in the Bible, or the biblical version, there's a big great flood, and Lord came, and only few people were saved. So in the Puranas, the same story is described, but in elaborate detail. Goes into like how the king is praying and he's meditating, and he really wants to save his progeny, he really wants to save the world, and then the Lord comes and tells him, hey, I will save you, but I'll come in the form of a fish, get the few sages together, get the necessary items together, and I'll get you across this flood. So apart from giving finer details of this whole event, the Puranas also described an exact date for it. What's the date they give? They state that this event happened at the end of previous Manvantara. So remember, currently we are in Kali Yuga, as you can see on the right side. And before Kali Yuga was Dwapar Yuga, before Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and before Treta, Satya. And this is a Chatur Yuga, and there are 27 Chatur Yugas which have passed in the current Manvantara. So this event happened towards the end of previous Manvantara. I know this is a lot of information, but try to stay with me. So here, what happened? That this event happened, as per the Puranas, 251.152 million solar years ago. So if you go to any ancient culture, whether it be Native American, whether it be Islamic or Abrahamic, you will find this great flood everywhere mentioned. And many biblical theorists or scholars have tried to somehow or other account for this big flood. But what they say is, this event happened, a few thousand years ago. However, our Puranas don't say this event happened a few thousand years ago. They give an exact date. They say this great flood happened 251.52 million solar years ago. Okay, are you with me? So 251.152 million years ago, million solar years ago, is when this great flood happened. So an event which is found across all the older cultures is described in detail in the Puranas. Now, what do the scientists say? The scientists say 251.9 million years ago was the biggest or the greatest mass extinction of all. Has everyone here heard of dinosaurs? What happened to dinosaurs? Any word? What happened to dinosaurs? Anybody?
They're extinct.
Doctor?
Extinct. Yep.
Who was the first one who said they get extinct?
I think it's me. Yep.
Hasika.
Yeah. So how did they get extinct? Can you tell your name? I didn't get your name.
It's Hasika.
Okay.
Hasika.
So Dr.
Yes.
Hasika, what happened? What happened? How they became extinct? Any idea?
Probably because of volcanoes and everything.
Yeah, there was an asteroid which hit.
Yeah.
Here on the Earth, and just below the southern part of India, there was a huge volcanic eruption, and because of that, there were a lot of fumes, and that caused their extinction. But that was not the greatest extinction. Only dinosaurs were lost, but still a lot of species were left intact. 251.9 million years ago was the biggest mass extinction. 90% of the marine species became extinct. 70% of the land species became extinct. So there hadn't been an extinction as severe as what happened 251.9 million years ago, which coincides very well with the greatest extinction event recorded in the Puranas, the Matsya Avatar Pralaya. And the Bhagavad Purana, which you must have heard of, talks in gory detail about the incidents and the factors involved in that flood, in that event, that extinction event. And those factors have also been similarly recorded by scientists for the great Permian mass extinction 251.9 million years ago. So are you seeing the congruence? Are you seeing how those things are connecting with each other? What has been said in the Puranas is sort of being supported by science. But you can't just have one blaze, you have to have more, isn't it? Just one is not enough. So we're going to go for some more. So we were talking about some different time units earlier, but the person we just heard earlier, that how Brahma, his day is when the solar system is alive, and when his day ends, the solar system is finished. But Brahma also lives for 50 years. And currently we're in the 51st year of Brahma. So currently we are in the day of Brahma. Before that it was night, and before that Brahma finished 50 years. Okay, so currently we're in the first day of his 51st year. Brahma lives for millions and millions, billions and billions of years, a personality. And at the end of every day of his life, the solar system is destroyed. And at the big end of his night, the solar system is started. There are many Brahmas, so there are many solar systems. And currently, our Brahma, he just finished 50 years. It is mentioned in the Puranas that at the end of the 50 years of Brahma, there was another significant event. This event is called as Prakritika Pralaya. Or in other words, the destruction and reconstruction of elements of the universe. This disintegration and reconstruction of the elements of the universe. Now, does that event seem very familiar with some other event which we are aware of? What other event in modern science is synonymous or analogous to destruction and reconstruction of elements? Any thoughts? Vrinda can't say, but everybody else can say, because she knows about this thing. But anybody else? Destruction and reconstruction of elements of universe. What does that event is synonymous to? Hey, we need some answers. I don't speak to dead bodies. I want answers.
Atom bomb. Atom bomb.
Atom bomb. Okay. What else? Destruction and integration of the whole universe elements. Not just one atom bomb. It has to be a lot of atom bombs, isn't it? You're getting close. Disintegration and reconstruction of the elements of universe.
Well,
What
oh,
is that?
you're talking
about Big Bang. You're talking about Big Bang, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So according to the Puranas, at the end of 50 years of Brahma, there was the Big Bang, the origin of the universe. Let's see what is the date for that. So if we add these years up, one night of Brahma, the Sandhya, and our current time period, we get 13.819 billion solar years. That is the date for Big Bang according to the Puranas. How much? 13.819. Wow. Let's see what the scientists say. The scientists say 13.801, 0.1%. Wow. And that's amazing, because the Big Bang, finding the date for the Big Bang was one of the biggest problems which scientists ever faced. I mean, imagine you're starting from a very orthodox, a very simple culture, and you look at the sky and you wonder, how long this sky has been. Every person who is rational, who looks at the sky, thinks, how long this universe, how long this system has been breathing, and they want to know when it started. So this has been a problem, or this has been a question in the mind of human beings since the beginning of humanity.
Big Bang.
But a breakthrough was made in 1980s. What happened? In 1980s, two scholars near Princeton, they were working on an antenna for an army research project. Their goal was to come up with some kind of antenna and some kind of system which can send waves at the lowest possible temperature without the least disturbance. So they came up with some technique and they were trying to work. But every time they were working on this algorithm, or this experiment setup, they were observing this noise. And they thought, what's happening? Why is this noise? So they went on the top of their house, on the top of the lab, and went to the antenna. And they were checking, is there any dirt on the antenna? They cleaned it up with a nice mop. Nothing. Then they thought maybe there were some birds who might be pooping there, some bird droplets. So they went and there were no birds there. What's happening? So they went to Princeton, which is nearby, and they discussed with the theoretical physicists there that we are observing this noise. And they said, really? That noise actually corresponds to an important phenomenon known as cosmic microwave background radiation. So this is a radiation which came 300 million years after the start of the Big Bang. And why is that important? And how to understand it? If any of you have ever played with fireworks, when you burn a firework and it makes a noise, a noise you can hear for, you can say, a few kilometers or a few meters easily. So it creates like this sound wave. Similarly, when the first stars came into being, there was this wave created. And that wave is at the lowest possible frequency possible, at the lowest temperature possible. And it's called cosmic microwave background radiation. So in the 1980s, they were able to discover that, but it took them 20 more years to build satellites which can go in the sky and measure it and then come back and give us a date for the origin of the universe. I will show you a diagram later. I can show you right now that scientists thought up till year 1930 that our universe is only, a Big Bang happened 10 to 20 billion years ago. Up to year 2000, they thought that our universe is only 11 to 15 billion years old. Nobody had such precise information as the Puranas until 2018. So what has taken last 2000 years of super rigorous research, billions of dollars, is plainly stated in the Puranas. Isn't that amazing? So that was again not enough. We have more data points. So I'm not sure many of you know, but there's a pastime described in the Puranas where Lord Shiva, he drinks poison. And this event happened according to the Puranas 521 million years ago at the end of the, what's that event? It's called Churning of the Ocean. So in that event, Lord Shiva drinks this poison. And at that time, some of the poison droplets fell down and some animals get it. And it's stated in the Puranas that at that time, the poisonous beings like snake and scorpion got the capacity to develop poisonous fangs. Now let's look at the modern science equivalent. According to modern science, the first fossil which has ever showed any symptoms or any attributes of having poisonous glands was 521 million years ago. So just like that, we can keep going on and on. I have written actually a whole book. The book is called The Big Bang and the Sages, where I discuss how the Puranic events have dates which are precisely the same as the modern scientific dates. And I have dates for few more major mass extinctions, the origin of man-made fire, true polar wonder. And it doesn't end only with dates. It goes even in distances. The Puranas also have distances for, our distance of the length or the breadth of our solar system, the distance between two solar systems, and those data points also correspond very nicely with the Puranas. Now somebody may say, hey, maybe they were guessing, people are known to make guesses. But let's look at the probability of guessing. The Puranas have dates or data as big as 10 to the power 62. So if they were choosing one number and throw a dice, and the dice has 10 to the power 62 faces, the probability of getting correct is 1 over 10 to the power 62. Such a huge number. So the probability of guessing is practically negligible. Is it mathematically possible? Yes. But is it realistic? No. Let me give you an example. Suppose Jason walks into our house, and in my house, we're having a party. There are 10 people in the party, and Jason walks in and he says, hey guys, I have a magic trick. I say, okay, what's the magic trick? He says, all of you are carrying a credit card. I say, okay, we're carrying a credit card. I'm going to tell you in my first try, the exact credit card numbers, the 16 digits of all the 11 people in the room. Now, can he do that? He can claim to do the magic trick, but can he really, in the first chance, give exact credit card details of all 16 people, of all 10 people? Forget about 10 people. If he can do for one person in first go, I'm ready to sign him $1 million check, although I don't have that many, but I'm happy to give. But that's not possible because it's a lot of numbers and he has to be right every time. And it's for 11 people, not just one person. So that's the probability of guessing one date correctly. That in first go, he gets exact credit card details of all the 11 people in the room. Highly improbable. Imagine you keep adding more and more dates, more and more data points. That means practically he's walking into a room with 150 people and he's able to guess exactly the credit card details of each person in the 150 room, a big party hall with 150 people. Not possible. So the probability of guessing is practically zero. So what's the meaning of this? What can we take back? One thing we can surely take, that Puranas are not folk stories. They're actually historical accounts. Because it's history which has evidence that can be found, which can be trusted, which can be verified. If it was not history, we cannot verify any of the aspects of it, apart from the moral or the lessons which you can learn. Secondly, and most interestingly, many of the scientific theories are always doubted by people. They say, hey, science is always changing, science is this problem, that problem. But for the first time, we can actually verify modern scientific claims with the help of Puranas. So this provides us an interesting and an independent way of verifying science. Science always has this problem. They're always changing the opinion. One day they say wear a mask, next day they say don't wear a mask. One day they say choose this vaccine, next day they say don't choose vaccine. Then they say try this, and next day they say try that. They're always changing. But in few things, we can be sure the science is correct if we have Puranas to support it. For example, the Permian mass extinction, the great mass extinction, which I told you, they have been changing the dates for the longest time. First they said 12, then say 180, then 225, 251, and now 251.9. So with every step, they have been getting closer and closer and closer and closer to the Puranas. If you see in the table, that means they are finally walking the right path. They're finally on the correct data point. Are you able to see the table? How the data points here, the table? Yes, no?
Yes, we can see them.
Okay, thank you. Similarly, for the sun, first it said 1 to 10, then 4.5, 4.6, and now 4.567. That's your opinion. Now, interestingly, they don't know when sun will be completely destroyed. But we have an exact date from the Puranas. So we also have data points which scientists don't have it, and which we are saying that they will find it in future. Similarly, for the solar universe, as I talked about earlier. So I shared this in journals of science and religion, and also I shared this in India, a lot of places, and people loved it. And I would like to, okay, now question arises, how were the Puranic sages, or how was Vyasadeva able to accomplish this? How was he able to come up with such amazing, accurate detail of history? And I would like to quote Ramanujan here. Ramanujan is a famous scientist, of India, and he also used to have a similar process. He would meditate, and by his meditation, he was able to come up with mathematical formulas and ideas, which were found hundreds of years later to be correct. So he used to say, an equation for me has no meaning unless it expresses the thought of God. And he was a great devotee of Lord Nrsimhadev. Similarly, our Vyasadeva, he was a devotee of Krishna. In fact, he's a Krishna's incarnation. And he used to meditate on Krishna. And because of his meditation, he was able to connect with the eternal Vedas, eternal Puranas, and was able to compile them and express them for us and write them down. So this process is still alive and still can be practiced. And the process is by chanting Hare Krishna. By meditating on Lord, one is able to access the knowledge which is all around us. We just need to tap into it. So I invite you to try the process of Krishna consciousness and to tap in the world of unlimited potential and be an instrument in the hands of the Lord. Thank you. I can take questions now or comments anybody has.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Actually, you gave a great presentation, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhir. I cannot see you. I can only see your picture there. Okay, finally it's Dr. Sudhir Taveri.
He's a great devotee of Lord Krishna.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, amazing presentation. Prabhupada also mentioned one day scientists will find out the abode of Lord Krishna, the Golok Vrindavan, and Mathura and other places which are indicate on the Puranas. So thank you. I think we can have some question from our audience.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. My father used to say that, the distances are just so vast. You cannot even go to another solar system in your lifetimes and forget about the galaxies and universe, and then possibly the many universes. So by physical means, it is just not possible to acquire all that knowledge. But the way to acquire all the knowledge is Brahmagyan. And Brahmagyan means when you meditate, meditate upon the name of the Lord, then you are able to capture all the information. Now, I don't know how to do that, but I suppose that makes sense.
Yep.
Thank you.
We can follow in the footsteps of Vyasadeva, how he did. So Vyasadeva describes his samadhi and he describes his meditation process in Bhagavatam.
Yes.
Which is, he meditates on Lord's words. He meditates on Krishna, and by doing so, he's able to write the Bhagavatam. He was actually confused. He didn't know what to do, and he was having a hard time. So he asked his spiritual master Narad Muni what to do, and Narad Muni told him that if you meditate on the Lord and write about and then write something, then you will be satisfied. So then he meditated in his heart, chanting Hare Krishna and meditating on Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes. And then by that he was revealed this whole Bhagavatam.
Jason has
Thank
one
you.
question.
Yes,
Well,
Jason.
there's a lot of questions. Time is too short. You opened up a huge knowledge base. We have no idea. But I want to ask you a very simple question. Because
Dr. Madan, I would like to take Jason. I would like to take Jason first because he raised the hands first, and Binda already asked. I'll take you also, but I want to be courteous there in the order. Yes, Doctor. Yes, Jason. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. My question was, is this Puranic information taught in India? And if not, why is that, do you think?
Oh, say again. I missed it. Can you say one more time? Is what?
My question is this Puranic information taught in like the Indian schools? And if it isn't, why do you think that?
Very good question. Actually, we have to look at the history. So around 400 years ago, there was an event which happened in the Europe. It's called the Renaissance. In Renaissance, the science took a different route than the religion because religion was being misused. And since then, the opinion of scientists is that the religion is just a means to control the public, means to control the masses. So because of that, we find that that scientists don't believe in the religious scriptures, religious books, and they have clubbed together the Hindu books, the Puranas and Vedas, along with the other religious books. And thanks to that kind of education and teaching, people in India don't have so much faith and belief, and they also have stopped practicing this religion or this philosophy. So because of that, we have this divide.
My question, I mean, I have many questions, but I'm going to ask one question. If I understand.
I think Jason didn't finish, but Jason has to finish. Yes, Jason.
No, I was just saying thank you for answering.
Okay. Thank you. You can ask more to Brinda and her family. They're very knowledgeable also. So you're connected with the right people there. You can ask them a lot of questions. They'll help you out. They both are very intelligent. Yes, Dr. Madan. Now you can.
I mean, all this information, it seems there, and people thought about it and recorded. But how come the whole world doesn't know about it? Suppose you're talking about Krishna was, I mean, many millions of years ago, and he is the supreme personality of Godhead. But why the other people doesn't know about it? Only limited to some people only. That's my question. And then we talk about different Golokam. I mean, if you become Krishna conscious, then you can go to different planets. So where is the proof? Who went to a certain Golokam and then tell us about it? Or it is just an illusion?
So there are two things. One, your question is why do the people around the world know about Krishna? And second question you're asking is that how do we know that there are different spiritual worlds? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the first question, why do people know about Krishna? Actually, people know about Krishna. I disagree with that. It's just that people know about Krishna in different names and different forms. For Christians, it is Christ. For Muslims, it is Allah. So definitely there is an understanding of Krishna and his aspects throughout the whole world. And it's dependent on where they are. Like people know about mathematics in all grades of school. In elementary school, the only mathematics they know is just addition and subtraction. They're also doing mathematics. Whereas somebody at your level is probably doing calculus or doing higher levels of topography and other kinds of mathematics, partitions. That's also mathematics. So it's a matter of where people are. Currently, we're in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means that most people are Manda Sumanda Matyo, Man Bhagayu Padrita is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Then in Kali Yuga, people are very dull. They are lazy. They are disturbed. Welcome to iPhone generation. And they are most importantly very unfortunate. Unfortunately, why? Because there's much association of devotees. So because of all these different factors in Kali Yuga, people have different varying understandings of Krishna. They only know a very small aspect of it. However, we can change that if we make an attempt wherever we are by sharing with people consciousness, because then we can share with them this wisdom of Krishna consciousness and help them out, So that's to the first point. Second, you mentioned that, what is the evidence for Goloka? Or Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yam yam vapi smanam bhavam tajati ante kalevram tam tam aviti konteya satad bhavita. So Krishna says, whatever conception one has at the moment of death, that location one goes to on leaving this body. Isn't it? Now, when we talk about conception and when we talk about leaving body and transcending places, we are talking of a science which is very intricate and which is very advanced. If I were to, I'm not sure, what's your field of study, Dr. Midun? What do you study?
Oh, I deal with people with disability, rehabilitation and disability study. But I studied physics, chemistry, and mathematics earlier.
Okay, but did you do PhD also, Dr. Madan?
Yeah, PhD in rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation. So for how many years did you spend in studying for PhD?
Oh, about 7 years.
7 years. And before that you did masters? And before that you did undergraduate? So undergrad is 4 years, master's is 2, PhD says 7. Now that's the standard study for, and that's before that you do also high school and senior secondary. So I would say almost 30 years of education before you can make a new advancement or a new research, a new discovery in that field, isn't it? So 30 years of study it takes to study any of the gross elements. And we're talking about an element known as soul, which is the subtler and any subtle element which we know. And how many years have you studied that? How many of us have put 30 years into studying Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Puranas, Vedas? How many of us? Very few.
That's true.
And because we haven't studied that topic so well, we really are not able to evaluate. However, I have teachers who have invested that much time. Like my teacher, his name is Jaya Pataka Swami Maharaj. He has been studying this and teaching this for the last 40 years, 50 years, almost 50 years actually. And when he speaks on this topic, he speaks with so much conviction that I feel just by his presence and speaking some faith. And it's not blind faith, because like when you're speaking on, say, on topic of rehabilitation, you will speak with so much conviction that I will trust you, that I'm willing to try. So my teachers are inspiring me and are inspiring me to take the initiative, are inspiring me to try this process. So they're not asking me to have belief that there is Goloka, there is this planet, that planet. They're saying that see me, because they've been doing for 50 years, and based on that, their experience, I have the belief, let me try this process. So I'm doing an experiment. We call it experiment with consciousness. And the experiment is that by chanting Hare Krishna, he offers that if I do that, I will experience a part of myself which I've never experienced before. And this is my experience on a daily basis. Whenever I invest myself seriously into chanting Hare Krishna, I can experience and expect an aspect of myself which I've never experienced before. And it's not something very far away. It's a daily experience. So on a day-to-day basis, I experience some kind of transcendence just by chanting Hare Krishna. And that small experience has given me faith that there is so much more to it if I can dedicate myself more sincerely to this process and this philosophy. So on the basis of my teacher's conviction and on the basis of my personal experience, I'm willing to give this process a try.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And I invite you to do so.
Yes,
you can try chanting every day for trying. Very good.
I'm trying.
You can try very good. You can try really chanting for half an hour, and see for yourself your experience, and you can share with others also like that.
Thank you, Prabhu. I will get in touch with you later on because I have some lot of other questions.
Please.
And your
please,
slides to have better understanding.
Yes,
Hmm?
we can definitely connect, Prabhu. We can definitely connect. I'll ask Sarvatar Prabhu to share my email address with you, and you can contact through that.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, you didn't mention about Goloka. He said,
About Goloka.
how we know, I will know there is Golok. You
How
didn't
do you know there's
mention,
Goloka?
yeah.
Well, it's quite funny, but if you look up on Google Maps, do you have Google Maps?
Yeah.
Okay, go on Google Maps and
Funny
search
question,
Goloka.
but
No, I'm telling you how you can verify this Goloka. Go to Google Maps and search Goloka there, and you will find the address. The address is 9756.
about talking about Hinduism, when they talk about Shiva, they said, if you think of Shiva, you go to Shivlok. If you chant Krishna, you go Krishna Lok. There are so many lokas there, or
Well, I'm telling you frankly, I'm telling you truthfully. If you search Goloka online, you will end up at a location called 9756 Further Road, Michigan 48159, and that's the place where I live. It's called Goloka, Michigan. And I've been chanting Hare Krishna for a few years. That's a proof that if you chant Hare Krishna, you end up in Goloka. So you are all most welcome to visit me here and experience for yourself Goloka. It's a farm where we have cows and chanting of Hare Krishna.
Mhm.
Would you like to come to Goloka?
So this Vrindavan on earth is a Goloka, right?
Correct. That's another Goloka.
It is. Yes.
Another Goloka. It's the same thing. Okay.
That-
Mhm.
That's very interesting. Certainly, if we are on that side, we'll visit you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhir.
We are also very fortunate. We have His Grace Pran Govinda Prabhu, very knowledgeable. He's our mentor. He's guiding, thousands of devotees around the world through his experience. I think he barely sleep to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So you can't have that experience. Haridas Thakur, even presently our Prabhupada, like he showed the practically if you chant, and Prabhu is mentioning emphasizing so much on chanting, then once you pure, then you can see, you can feel. So if Rangovinda Prabhu is free, so he can have his blessings.
Prabhu, do you have time for one more question by Jason? He has a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Are you okay?
Can you come closer? I think he can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I wanted to, well, it's not necessarily a question, but more so getting your thoughts on the Vedic cosmology conception of the earth versus what has generally been taught, and why do you think, I guess, the Vedic conception has not been either accepted or proven as the reality? I ask this because at least in modern times, there's been resistance against the idea of a global earth. You may have heard of people like flat earthers and those kinds of groups. I know vaguely it's mentioned in the Puranas that the earth is described more of a disc shape. And I believe in the late 60s or 70s, there was mentioned of a U.S. Navy admiral. His name is Admiral Byrd, Richard E. Byrd. He was very famous because he was tasked with exploring the earth for the U.S. government, and he came back to the U.S. upon returning from the Antarctic region. He came back saying that he discovered lands previously that no one ever heard about or had been to, vast amount of land equal to the size of the US. And when he came back, it was all over like the national news, but it was soon after like kind of put to rest, and not many people looked into it. And then years later, the UN got together and they made a treaty, and pretty much all the nations signed off on it, which was very strange because back then the US was still enemies with the Soviet Union and other nations, but for some reason they all agreed upon this one UN treaty, and I forget the UN treaty, but it basically states that no one is allowed to go to Antarctica.
Is that it, or is there more to it?
That's pretty much it. I didn't want to go on too
Okay.
much. I mostly wanted to get your ideas on that and just give you a little background.
Yeah. Well, the Vedic cosmology model is not so simple as as you mentioned, it's being a disk or being a globe, and there is a lot more to it. And the reason I'm saying so is because the cosmology being described in the Bhagavatam is very complex, and there have been several commentators who have written long commentaries explaining it. So modern science, when it talks about cosmology, it is also very nascent. And so we are dealing with two different kinds of knowledges. One which we don't understand so well, and the other which is very rudimentary, very nascent, very new. So you really can't have any communication between the two groups of scholars or scientists. First, on the one side, we have to develop good Sanskrit knowledge and good understanding of Vedic paradigm and context so we can understand it well. I personally don't understand it well yet. Even I've been studying for a few years now. And the science has to also develop at a point where they can have a communication. So because of this gap between the two, we really don't understand well what is the world around us. It's very complex, one thing for sure. It's not as simple as we can see. There's much more to it than what we can see. And there's also politics involved. Science is not just free from politics. There's that element too. But to your question, why these two have not yet been compared or discussed, some people have tried to compare it, but it has been a very superficial comparison. They really cannot be compared right now. Modern science has to evolve much more to be able to explain the phenomena around us. Like if you ask any cosmologist, they will tell you that 96% of the universe is dark energy and dark matter. When we say dark means that we don't understand. There's no theorem or no theory which can account for it. So we only can have laws. We only have laws and understanding of 4% of the universe around us. So whatever you see all around us, the forces, they can only account for 4% of the universe, visual universe. 96% is invisible. They cannot account for it. So science has to grow a lot in order to explain all these things. And on the other side, Purana side, we need scholars. So we need people like you who are inquisitive to study Sanskrit, study the Puranas, and then help bridge the gap. So I have started this work in the field of chronology. Chronology is very simple comparatively, but still science also has to involve. Like if we were to do the same research of comparing the dates, say 20 years ago, you would not get same results because 20 years ago science was very behind. If I try to compare them, dates won't match so well. Only now in 2020 or 2019, 2018, we could see such nice comparisons, such nice congruence. So with time, things improve. With time, we will see more and more correlation, more and more congruence. So depending on where you are, if you're interested in this field, you can either work on the scientific part, study more cosmology, or study the Puranas and Bhagavatam, be a Sanskrit scholar, and help bridge the gap, help do the conversation there.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I would like to ask forgiveness from devotees that if I made anything, comments which were rude or which were offensive, please forgive me. Thank you again, Sarvadara Prabhu, for the opportunity to share Krishna consciousness and to share my realizations. I'm grateful to you for your mercy and me. Hey, Pran Govind Prabhu is here, so that will we'll have a nice feast now, a nice ice cream of Prabhu's sweet words. Thank you, Prabhu.
Sorry, Prabhu. I did not know your other side. We know each other for many months, but you didn't never killed. You have such a vast knowledge. That's wonderful. Are you involved with the BI?
I did give a talk. I gave a talk there recently when I was there for the conference in Alachua.
How come you didn't come in?
Gainesville. I was there only for a short period of time. I was I had to go to join a Sankirtan party. I was traveling in the van, so that's why.
I see. It was very nice. Krishna Abhishek was here. I guess he runs now, and Brahmatirtha Prabhu. We are old friends, so we're very nice. I'm so happy to see you, Prabhu. Maybe I can say something that I love the way you made your presentation. And I also appreciate the way you gave, I'm paraphrasing my way, how to remove the doubts or conflict or to understand this. Maybe two ways, I would say. I'm trying to paraphrase. One is no reasonable explanation or clarification that is intelligible. That rises actually the doubts people have, lack of faith and other. And second point also that I saw how you made the conviction very by demonstrating Javataka Maharaj's and your and different devotees contribution in this, that one cannot understand due to lack of maturity. Means accept, they have to accept that in time by association of devotee, maturity will come. And that's why I like the way you asked Dr. Madan Kundu how many years he spent just to get where he is today. And to get to absolute realization, it requires billions of life. Why billion? Trillion. But it is possible in one life if there is a good association and mercy and eagerness, willingness. So from that angle, I would say the devotee's mercy maturity will come, then possible to understand clearly. Just like I would say 2 years old boy will never understand the romantic lifestyle of a young adults. It's required eligibility and maturity. So I think this is very nice, the way you present it. So removing doubts, there's a, I would say there is a head doubts and there is a heart doubts, you know. So I like the way you put it. You didn't say those words, but that's how I see it. You know, head doubts is like a more intellectual, and most of the people are in an education field. I always say, because one professor asked me, from Bhagavatam, I could not find the route that Krishna took it from Hastinapur to Dwarka. I said, well, the purpose of Bhagavatam was not a GPS map. Purpose of Bhagavatam to give you a realization of reciprocal, how Krishna is reciprocal to different devotees. So he may took this tour, right turn, left turn, as the devotee are reciprocating. So you don't look at Bhagavatam and think like, oh, this is wrong, because how could you go from Hastinapur to Dwarka, not this way, that way? I said, this you will never find, because he's a reciprocal personality. It's not a GPS map Krishna is doing from to Dwarka. That's a head doubts, I call. And heart doubt is like, well, head doubts are like a more of a facts and figures, as you mentioned. I see that. And you have a well presented those facts and figures, which are very important. But we study scripture to remember Krishna and to increase our devotion for Krishna. That is heart relation, not so much of the head connection. So I appreciate that your way of presentation. Thank you. And I'm glad you told me where you live. I didn't even know. Only used to see Zoom in the meeting. Thank you for, by the way, thank you for giving your so valuable time in the ministry. I didn't tell you, they made me actually, well, Maharaj requested me to stay in the ministry, not to leave, but so I agreed, so I'm stuck there. In a good, but we'll miss you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All because of Sarvatarak Prabhu, I got the opportunity, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present. You guys are all of you very fortunate to have Association of Pran Govind Prabhu, and who's a wonderful speaker on Chaitanya Katha and Bhagavatam philosophy. My dear friend here, Ujjwal Das, he tells me that when he became a devotee, his name is Bhakta Josh, and he shares that he joined in Alachua, and he shares very frankly, very fondly, that it was Pran Govind Prabhu's association that he fell in love with Shastra. You have not met him, my dear friend Ujjwal Prabhu, but now he's a really good Sanskrit scholar. He has memorized most of the Harinam Amrita Vyakaran by heart. And he says that the seeds of that were planted when he spent his initial days with Pran Govind Prabhu. So we are all very fortunate to have his association. His love for Shastra and love for philosophy and love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is what we all seek for. Thank you, Prabhu.
Please bless me, pray for me. I love Sarvatarak Prabhu's whole family. They are my guru. They teach me how to preach properly.
Prabhu, please give us blessings. Otherwise, if you appreciate, then we'll go. we can't advance. So I offer my respectful obeisances to the audience, all the great Vaishnavas, especially the Batendus people. They are interested in Krishna consciousness. That is why we can get more advanced devotees like Siddha, Hari Prabhu, Pran Govinda Prabhu, Kamal Mukha, and other devotees. So actually all like the goal is to go to Batendus community. So they are on their support. We are trying to, please on behalf of Prabhupada, and we all are getting Prabhupada mercy. So I know time is going up, but still we all are so enthusiastic to hear, though science is abstract, but still the way Siddha Hari Prabhu presented actually, melted my heart, because my subject is mathematics. I had no rush or any melody, but to hear from Siddha Hari Prabhu, so I feel actually science is also we can use in the form of Krishna consciousness. So thank you so much, and we expect sometimes you give your mercy so we can learn more, and by the mercy of Pran Govinda Prabhu. Thank you so much. So right now we're gonna do the Arati, right, Brinda?
Yes, we'll be doing Arati. But I would like to take this chance and thank Siddha Prabhu for an amazing class and enlightening us on how science and spirituality go hand in hand. They do not repel each other. And also to Pran Govinda Prabhu for your association and encouraging us. And also to the audience, thank you so much for staying back, even though we're over time. This shows how much you're interested and willing to learn more about Krishna consciousness. I see this is Kamal Mukha Prabhu. He raised his hand. Do you like to say something?
I could not listen the whole thing. I had a question for Siddha Haridas Prabhu. Is there any time for question or it's already over?
We're kind of running short on time, but yes.
Okay, so never mind then. Never.
But Siddha Prabhu, do you have time to take one more question?
I have all the time, but I don't want to also create problems for the devotees. But yeah, sure.
I think you can take one more question. It's fine.
Oh, the question is, what if we drill all the fossil fuel? Like the Democrats, they want solar energy or something else. Republicans, they don't mind. They think drilling natural gas is not a problem for the Earth planet. My question is, what is the effect we can expect from so much drilling and burning fossil fuel? Is that a problem for the law of gravity or other problem for the planet?
Well, I'm not an expert in the field of geology. I'm only an expert in the field of data sciences. So I'm not an expert on that field, but we know from Puranas what happens if you drill the oil out. Anybody remembers reading Prabhupada's purports? Prabhupada talks about that.
Hiranyaksha.
Hinaksha, that he actually did the same thing. He he took out all the important elements out of the earth, and because of that, earth sunk to the bottom of Garbhodaka ocean. So it doesn't necessarily mean that our earth will go into some ocean in the solar system which is hidden, but what it means is that it is definitely not good for Mother Earth to do that. So if you're saying, so as per the science, I don't know what will happen because I'm not a geologist, but as per the Puranas, if they keep on drilling the earth and taking all the vital elements out and not doing any yagna, because we hear in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a cycle, cosmic cycle, that annat bhavati parjanya, that when we do the sacrifice, that's what pleases the demigods, and the demigods give us the resources. So if we don't do any sacrifice and just keep on taking stuff, and that's breaking the cycle, and we are the one who have to pay for it, and we are paying it. We don't have clean water, clean air, clean food, and it will become more and more worse. So we have to do something, and each of us can't really go and fight the election or change anything, but we can do one thing. We can do more sacrifice. And what's the sacrifice for this age? Hari Nam Sankirtan. So what we are doing right now is the best thing we can do to save our earth from getting into the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean, is to perform the Hari Nam Sankirtan. That's my understanding, Prabhu. You are much more knowledgeable. You have so much more experience. Please forgive me my mistake.
Thank you, Prabhu.
As you all can see that we have so many questions from the audience. That's why we request Siddha Prabhu to come here again and again so we can take more advantage of you.
Yes.
But since we're running out of time, we will move to the next part of the program, which is Arati, and would invite all of you to please join us.
Thank you.
Krishna Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vajata Hare
सिद्धांत शशि ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय, जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय, स्वरूप गोस्वामी की जय, गुरु परंपरा की जय, चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, श्री श्री गौनिताय राधा राधा कांत जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारामेश्वर मध्यान्हकालीन आरती की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, सारा विश्व भुवन मंगल हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, तुलसी महारानी की जय, भक्त विघ्न विनाश करे भगवान विष्णुदेव की जय, भक्तराज प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the single devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the single devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, everyone. We have come to the end of our program. Would like to thank everyone for joining today, and we'll end by offering our humble obeisances to all the present devotees. Vancha kalpa tarubhasya kripa sindhu vai pachapati tanam papanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti vaishnav vrindi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hope to see you all next Sunday. And hope you all have a wonderful Krishna conscious rest of the week. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.